He is a cartoon dog. An Australian cartoon dog who digs up bones for a living says, "Oh, biscuits," when things go wrong, and once spent an entire episode letting two small children strap him to a tree with a skipping rope. And somehow, he is a better father than almost every dad Disney has ever created. Not some of them, not most of them, almost all of them. Today, we're going to take Disney's most famous dads, the kings, the fish, the dead ones, the disasters, and ask one simple question. What would actually happen if Bandit Healer replaced them? What would the movie look like? What would the kids turn out like? The answer is funnier than you think, and more uncomfortable than Disney would like. So buckle up. This is what every Disney dad story looks like when you hand the script to the most unhinged, self-sacrificing, groan-making father in animated history. The Lion King Bandit versus Mufasa. Let's start with the most famous Disney dad of all time, Mufasa, voiced by James Earl Jones, the kind of man whose parenting advice sounds carved into stone tablets because it literally echoes off canyon walls. Mufasa is, on paper, a fantastic dad. He teaches Simba about the circle of life. He appears as a ghost after death to give more advice. He gets dropped into a wildebeest stampede and still manages to make it a teachable moment. But here is the thing about Mufasa. He leaves. He goes to work. He sends Sebastian to babysit. He tells his son not to go somewhere and then doesn't actually watch to make sure he doesn't go there. Simba wanders directly into a hyena den and nearly dies because Mufasa's supervision strategy was essentially, "I said no, that should cover it." Now imagine Bandit Healer is the king of the Pride Lands. First of all, Simba does not get to go anywhere near the elephant graveyard because Bandit has already turned it into a game. He is crawling around on the savannah pretending to be a zombie elephant. Scar is standing in the shadows waiting to execute his decades-long plan for the throne, and Bandit is on all fours going, "I am the ancient elephant ghost. Come and get me if you dare." Simba is losing his mind with excitement. Second, Scar's entire plan relies on Simba feeling guilty and running away. That doesn't work on a Bandit Healer kid. Bluey and Bingo have been through the family meeting episode. They have sat across a kitchen table and formally negotiated the terms of their dad's fart-related crimes. Simba would not run away from a wildebeest stampede. He would call a family meeting. Third, Bandit would absolutely not die in that canyon. Not because he is stronger than Mufasa, but because he would trip over his own feet trying to grab the ledge and somehow survive through sheer embarrassing incompetence and then make a joke about it while limping home. The Lion King with Bandit Healer is basically the same movie, except Simba grows up well-adjusted, Scar gets defeated by being turned into a game, and there is an episode where Bandit breaks the royal scepter and has to fix it before Chili finds out. Finding Nemo Bandit versus Marlin. Now we get to a dad who is, in many ways, the anti-bandit. Marlin loves his son so much that he accidentally ruins his son's childhood in the process. After losing his wife and nearly all of his children to a barracuda attack, Marlin raises Nemo with so much fear baked in that Nemo literally swims off to prove a point and gets kidnapped. The entire movie is Marlin learning that protecting your kid from everything is not the same as raising your kid well. It is a deeply moving film. It is also a full-length documentary about what happens when a dad never just plays along. Bandit Healer would be a completely different fish. The moment Nemo says, "I want to touch the boat," Bandit has already turned it into a game. There are rules, there are boundaries, but the boundaries are presented as a challenge, not a prison wall. Bandit has literally played a game with Bluey called Keepy Uppy, where the objective is to stop a balloon from touching the ground, and this game consumed multiple episodes because Bandit will not let a balloon lose. He would not let Nemo lose either. Also, and this is crucial, Bandit has a bad fin too, not literally, but Bandit Healer is the dad who in the episode Bicycle does not help Bluey learn to ride. He sits on the bench and lets her watch other kids struggle and figure it out themselves. He knows the difference between helping and hovering. Marlin does not know this difference until a turtle named Crush explains it to him in the middle of the ocean. Bandit already knows. He learned it on a Wednesday afternoon in a park in Brisbane. Finding Nemo with Bandit Healer is 11 minutes long. Nemo touches the boat. Bandit makes a noise. They go home. Chili has dinner ready. Nobody gets kidnapped. P. Sherman 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney is never dialed. The Little Mermaid Bandit versus King Triton. King Triton is what happens when a loving father never learned to let go. He is raising 7 daughters alone. He is running an entire undersea kingdom. He has an enemy called Ursula who has tentacles and a collection of tiny shrunken souls in jars. The man is busy. The problem is not that he loves Ariel. The problem is that his love comes out as destruction. When he finds out she has been collecting human objects, he does not talk to her. He swims down to her secret grotto and blasts it apart with his trident while she watches. He destroys everything she loves because he is afraid of everything she loves. And then he is confused when she runs to the villain. This is the specific type of dad Bandit Healer is built to replace. Because Bandit collects things too. In the episode Trash Can Fairy, he throws away Bluey's drawings and then has to fish them out of the bin in the rain because he realizes they mattered. He does not pretend his mistake did not happen. He fixes it, wet drawings and all. If Bandit were Ariel's dad, the first episode would be him swimming down to the grotto and being absolutely horrified by all the human junk. There would be a whole monologue about how she keeps a fork up there and she doesn't even know what it's for. And then, and this is the bit, he would pick up the fork and start trying to work out what it's for. Because that is what Bandit does. He gets into it. He enters the game. By the end of the episode, he and Ariel are debating the cultural significance of a corkscrew. Ariel does not need to make a deal with Ursula. She just needs her dad to sit in the grotto with her for one afternoon. The Little Mermaid with Bandit Healer. Ariel stays under the sea for now, learns some critical thinking about humans, and the whole Ursula arc is avoided because Eric never shows up, because nobody ran onto the beach barefoot and confused. Sebastian is still stressed, but for completely different reasons. Frozen Bandit versus King Agnar. King Agnar is, on the surface, a soft-spoken and caring father who tells his daughter's bedtime stories about the Northuldra people. He is also the man who looked at his daughter's magic ice powers and said, "Conceal, don't feel," and then died at sea before she turned out okay anyway. The conceal, don't feel strategy is the worst parenting advice in Disney history. It is presented as protective. In reality, it turns Elsa into a woman who cannot touch anyone without freezing them solid, and who eventually locks herself in an ice castle alone on a mountain because she had no idea how to exist in the world with her own emotions. Bandit Healer's entire philosophy is the opposite of conceal, don't feel. Bandit Healer's philosophy is feel everything, loudly, and then turn it into a game and work through it together. In the episode Sticky Gecko, he is trying to get the girls out the door and everything is going wrong, and he is visibly losing his mind, but he keeps going. In Sleepy Time, he does not tell Bingo to stop having big feelings in the night. He just holds on. If Bandit were Elsa's father, the first time she accidentally freezes something, he would not give a speech about hiding it. He would build a snowman with her. There would be rules established around the power. There would probably be a game invented specifically to use the power constructively. Bandit would come home from work one day covered in ice and tell Chili about it, and she would just look at him for a long time. Elsa would grow up knowing her powers were real and that she was loved inside them. Anna would not need to travel across a frozen kingdom to find her. They would already be in the backyard, frozen with Bandit Healer. 20 minutes shorter, emotionally healthier, and there is a B-plot where Bandit accidentally freezes the car and has to explain it to the insurance company. What this actually means. Here is the thing that all four of these Disney dads have in common. Mufasa, Marlin, Triton, Agnar. They all love their children. Every single one of them. That is never the question. The question is what they do with that love when things get hard. And all four of them, in different ways, make the same mistake. They try to protect their kids from the world instead of preparing them for it. Mufasa makes the rules and trusts they will be followed. Marlin makes a cage and calls it safety. Triton makes a wall and calls it protection. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button and subscribe. We've got more Bluey deep dives coming that are going to hit just as hard as this one. Drop in the comments, which Disney dad do you think Bandit would struggle with most? Who would even give him a challenge? See you in the next one.